next wonderful speaker dialing from Singapore, Klaus. And I think I'm not going to read his full bio, but one particular thing which I think struck me well, where he has posted his profile on the web page itself. What is the pop in your job, and what drives you, and what is your passion? And his answer is, my passion is to develop organizations and teams to become the best they can be, and putting the people first in the combination of new technologies to achieve the operational excellence. I think that's what the key requirement for a COO in an organization like Schaeffler, because Schaeffler, as you might know, large organization with multiple offices, multiple sub-business units, as well as driving a lot of innovative things in their plant. So Klaus has been with Schaeffler for almost 14 years. He has been to China leading the digital as a director of lean management, manufacturing unit, and plant operations. And recently he has moved to Singapore as a chief operating officer of Asia Pacific. And again, a very relevant topic he is going to share about to continue mix presentation, that when we talk about digital transformation, and we talk a lot of discussion within the boardroom, if I can say, but to bring those on the ground, there are a lot of organizational development required from technical capabilities as well as from the skills capabilities, right? So how do we drive the digital production of the world class? How do we implement technology solutions, and how do we ensure sustainability? Because industry 4.0 is not an end goal, right? Today is 4.0, tomorrow will be 5.0, and so on and so forth. It's a continuous journey. So as an organization, how we should look ahead in the future to remain sustainable and grow. This is where we're going to listen to Klaus from his insight as a user, as a somebody who is driving this initiative in Schaeffler. So with that, I would like to invite Klaus again on the virtual stage. Is yours, Klaus?
CK, thank you. Hello and good morning from Singapore. I hope you can hear me and see already the first
Yep,
slide.
you can see it well and hear you well.
Very good. So probably everyone is familiar with this graph here, not because we are still in the COVID-19 situation, which brought also this event to an online event here, but because I think it describes our journey and our advancements in digitalization, our progress. If we add here on the axis, on one side, the digitalization benefits, and on the other side, we would add the time, then we can see that at the beginning of our journey, the digitalization benefits would be small, incremental, I would say, and we need quite a lot of time to do that. Surely we will see some peaks, we will have some use cases, some single use cases, some single pilot projects, some applications implemented, but overall the critical mass would probably be missing to really get all the digital benefits we are hoping for. So we need to add some other considerations to that. We need to add a little bit more patience for the for the change management. Yeah, I think we go into a change in the organization, how we do things. So we should not forget that change management always takes time, and we just heard it also from Mick, requirement on leadership, requirement how to drive through this with change management. We also have to look into the transformation in terms of organizational transformation, process transformation, and how do we adapt the new abilities and new technology we have to that to really get all the benefits here. And we also do need some more time to install a basic infrastructure, physically and IT, OT infrastructure, which will allow us later to scale all our pilot projects. And once this is done, we will come to that part here on the right side of the slide, to the exponential growth, where we have a fast, energetic growth and benefits of our digitalization journey. So today I want to continue my discussion, which already started last year with you, on transformation of a manufacturing plant in a low-cost country, how to become a digital lighthouse. shortly to myself, CK, thank you for your introduction. I've been in Asia now the last 10 years, working on organizational development, change management, digital transformation. I'm fanatic about production system lean management, and now I think it's very interesting to have all the opportunities with digitalization, Industry 4.0, to bring these things all together and to develop a new some people will call it revolution, industrial revolution, but make these things work together and keep people in the middle in our focus. So last year, short recap. So last year, I was talking about the first steps we were taking in our pilot plant and digital pilot plant here in Asia, which is located in Vietnam. And I looked at all the headlines and trends which we were faced with there. You see that on the top here, collaboration, robots, blockchain, additive manufacturing, MES, Industry 4.0, all these kind of things. In addition to that, I also explained what our employees think about digitalization. There was a mix of curiosity, fear, expectation, hope, a hope for a change to support their tasks, their jobs, a hope that things will get better and easier, and not only we create transparency and create a blame culture. Yeah, that's always the risk of transparency here. I also highlighted the need for change of our organizational setup, going away from a structured hierarchical organization into a more flowing, agile organization, which works in teams, which breezes, which goes in and out, and where we mix our capabilities and our departments. And then I translated all of this in my concept of 80-20, 20-80, where I said, okay, in the past we always focus 80% on technical innovations, on new machines, on things we can touch, and we focus 20% of our time on people management. But to manage a transformation like this, what we see now with digitalization, I believe we should turn it around. We should work 20% on technical issues, 20% on digitalization innovations, because they will come anyway, and really try to focus 80% of our time on people management, listen to them, include them, and make it a journey all together here. So we also put together a picture here, let's call it a vision picture of our digital plant. We visualized here the concepts from supplier to customers, from single machines, from departments to the cloud. How do we see connectivity here? What should be all connected? What kind of IT infrastructure probably we would need to make that possible? And that's the first view on that, I would say. Yeah? We keep on developing this kind of picture. We see here the different departments. We have some fancy ideas how to connect these things. But to make this a living, a dynamic, and moving reality, I think we need to add some more ingredients here. So some other ideas we then shared with and discussed with our team here is what do we need overall? The clear vision, yes, we have the picture, but we need to write it down. We need to put the right words. What do we want to achieve from today to tomorrow? What is the transformation sounding like? Of course, we have the topic of OT security. It's a threat today. The more we connect, the more we have to be aware of our vulnerability here. We need more technical details. We need IT skills. All of this has to be sustainable, agile, scalable, yeah, because this is a pilot plant. But overall, the idea has to be only if we scale this into our other 74 plants worldwide in Schaeffler, then we will see the benefit. And then we come to this exponential growth of benefits out of the digitalization of our operational environment. We see the requirements of change management, leadership transformation, and we believe we need a whole new skill set for digitalization, algorithms, data analytics, connectivity, and so on. And also an interesting thought I have here. What do you think about, there's a experienced frontline worker who has been 25 years in the company. He's very experienced in the technology, in the material, in the product. And from today on, he needs to believe a 21-year-old who comes from a university programming an algorithm and tells him, instead of working a left way, now because the data says do it the right way, how would that be? How would he feel? So this transformational process, this leadership approach, and the change management, I think, is really, really important here to move forward. So we've done our homework the last year, and we developed a clear strategy. That was one of the first things. Clear strategy defined for that pilot plant. We're focusing on 4 main areas. It's people, technology, process, and data. And we also underline this by some core beliefs we have. First of all, besides the vision of being a pilot plant for digitalization, we still have our core vision in Schaeffler. Where do we want to go with this location? How do we see the future of this plant in the next years? We also use the Schaeffler production system as our guiding principles, and we use always the drive to reduce our aid wastes for all the things we do, including our decisions of digitalization. We are not doing digitalization for the cause of digitalization or to have it more nice. No, there has to be real benefits. There has to be real outcomes financially, in availability and utilization, but also for our employees. So strategy was defined. Then the next thing we did is we developed an assessment and a review schedule to see where we are with our digitalization and where our points where we need to focus on in the next weeks to make this wheel a little bit more round here. We also, and you see that on the left bottom, defined a human-centered approach, keeping people again in the middle, having a loop here, communications loop also, how to move forward, how to include people, how do we communicate, and what are all the little pieces to make it really a human-centered or people-focused approach. And then last but not least, we spent a lot of time on defining a structure of our IT architecture. I think that's very important. Not to have a pilot somewhere, but to look also ahead. How do we need to connect? How do we have the right way of infrastructure for the future? Because again, once we have all these things done, and once we see the success with our pilot projects, scaling them should be very fast, should be very dynamic. But with the wrong IT infrastructure, which is not set up in the beginning, I believe it will be a drawback and it will take much, much more time. So all of these things are necessary. All of these things are right, but they are not unique to digitalization. Whenever you start a change program, whenever we implement something big, I think we would have something like this: a vision, a review system, assessment system, a communication strategy, and a more or less physical game plan, how to put the machine or how to implement something physically. So I want to do a short experience with you, and maybe you've thought about it, maybe you have done this in your organization yourself, but let's for a second try to do it here. I want to ask you, how does digitalization feel like? And for that, you can close your eyes. Let's do it for 10 seconds here. Close your eyes and just think about how digitalization feels. All right. So what did you think of? Did you feel anything? So I believe every one of us has a different picture or got different pictures in our minds. But you should also consider now one point. Here we are talking in this group with all our experts. So we will all have all different ideas now how digitalization will feel like or look. Probably it's the easier way to say it looks, but how does it really feel? What about all our employees? What do they feel? What do they think it feels like or it should feel like in the future? So maybe you can take this question further with you. And I want to give you a little explanation here or a little answer to that. We have something in this digitalization roadmap community already to talk about a little bit experience. Yeah, we call it UI, UX, user interface and user experience. But let me share another thought here I have. I think it's not enough. It's not holistic enough. It's not specific enough. So what I'm thinking of here with my team is that we want to add some more things to the UI UX. We want to add the EI EX, the CI CX, the SI SX. And what does it all stand for here for us? I think it's the EI, it's for the employees, the C for customers, and the S for suppliers. And all of them have different expectations. All of them will have a different experience and should have a different experience. And they also have different interfaces. So what's now interesting for our pilot plant is here that at the end, we will create one data set. We've done data lake. But the challenge now for us is how to provide this data in different ways to make it a unique experience for our employees, for our different levels of employees also, for our customers, and for our suppliers. And all of these experiences have to be positive, they have to be successful, they have to be energetic, they have to be giving a smile to our people, because only then we will accelerate on our graph of a digitalization journey and reach that exponential part of the curve faster and faster. So let's dive in a little bit here what we have done. And this is a picture, our vision picture, which we had seen in the before. And the blue labels here, all projects we implemented or in implementing phase at the moment. And the first view you can have here is that we are not concentrating in one certain area. We are not concentrating on one certain technology or one certain department. No, we try to level it out, to bring it to the whole organization, to make it a unique experience for the whole team. So we can go from left to right. So there's something called iTracks, there's something called docs and tracks. This is something for our logistics, intralogistics systems. I will give you a little detail later. We're talking about 3D layouts, we're talking about virtual training, augmented services, mobile maintenance, digital release management. So each function of our organization has already an experience and is developing with the digital team solutions and creating benefits for them, but also then the next step, we go outside towards our suppliers and towards our customers. But again, we don't do that for just doing digitalization. No, it has to be guided by our principles of the production system, of the vision to be the best plant, and in terms of cost, quality, and utilization, and the effort to reduce waste, because that's actually what the employees, the customers, and our suppliers will feel and experience at the end. So now let me go into some details here, what we have done so far. Once you enter our shop floor in this plant, we installed a big screen wall here. Some people might think that is a fancy thing, but it's an important way to communicate, to create transparency, and to bring people together. So what we display on the screen is whatever people can see on their laptops, on their desk station, or even in the lines on their workstations. But it's important to have one big area where people can experience things together. And here I highlighted some of our ideas and some of our projects we have implemented regarding virtual reality and augmented reality. For example, the whole shop floor is already available in 3D. We can fly through the shop floor now. We can present our shop floor from today's point of view to the next years. We can add the machines where we see the growth, and people get an idea how this plant will look in 4 years with all our investments. Customers can see how we grow here, where is their next machine coming. So we really can create an visible experience here. We also add now virtual reality trainings. You can see that on some of the pictures here on the top left. With this, we can train our operators how to set up a machine, how to improve changeover times. We can walk through the lines, we can look into the lines, measure the distances between the machines, think about how to transfer from one part of the production to the other part of the production, simulate something. All this gives us a real world experience without interrupting our original operations. I think that's also a key point here. We separate now training and operations, which reduce the risk of quality issues, which reduce the risk of downtime. We bring it really into offset simulation and showcase that here. It also allows that this is always a bigger group now. Yeah? So now we can have 20 people which are just joining the company. They all stand together around. They can see it on the big screen. They can follow. We can have workshops there. So I think it's really good and great experience for all of us to have this virtual reality, augmented reality installed now and working in a 3D environment. Another example I want to highlight here is then real-time data. So in the background picture, what's also interesting is you will see over the time now, the view of our shop floor will change. Before you probably saw as all the manufacturing companies, there's a lot of people, depending how your setup is, working on the machines, being responsible for intralogistics, quality people. You will see the maintenance people. But what will you see now in the future is more and more people working in this environment, like you see here, with laptops, data analyzing, thinking, what does this data tell us? Is this right? So the skill set of our organization will really change here. So that will become a typical picture to see besides operators on a machine. You will see people with their laptops or with smart glasses and so on to support the production. We also developed now real-time data dashboards. I think that's not new. We have done this for many years now. What is new, maybe for us at least, in our approach is that what I said before, the experience has to be for each individual layer of organization a different way. So there's no one-fits-all dashboard, but there is a dashboard, a designed and kind of app or widget where a plant manager can take the data he needs to have and put this together in a tile-style manner. There's an operator who can look at some data. There's maintenance who looks at the same data, but always in the view they need it for their work best. So we try to do that automatically, or programming as an application, which then reduces also in the future the waste time of creating different reports with the same data for different stakeholders. Another topic we implemented since last year is a condition monitoring systems. We are using sensors, we are using our own products, which we are developing and also selling at Schaeffler. That's the so-called Smart Check or Uptime. You see that on the bottom. These are smart sensors we put on pumps, motors, spindles, which generate real-time data and be integral part of our condition monitoring system, which then allows us to walk away from reactive maintenance to predictive maintenance and preventive maintenance. In the past, I would say these kind of approaches worked okay, but a lot of work effort was in data creating, reporting, and then afterwards a data analyze, which now is all done smartly by algorithms or by sensors or by software here, which now allows our maintenance teams and facility teams to focus more on the value add, to focus more on the proactive and preventive activities instead of working on old data and trying to get knowledge out of this old data. And this again gives also for them a real new experience and a motivation to work in this direction, because there's no fear, but there's a real benefit what they can have. And then of course we can display the status of the plant, status of the sensors in forms of layout, in forms of machines, what you see here on the big screen. And of course we don't do that every day to put that on the big screen, but once in a while I think it's always good to see to draw a baseline, to explain again to all your staff what data is available, how we deal with the data, what are the benefits, and let the departments also explain what have they learned out of that and how they move forward on that curve to come to that exponential area here. Another area we have done, and we are still working there now, is our intralogistics. You see here on the big screen our block layout. We are now developing a real-time goods and transport tracking system that we exactly know where is which kind of box in our shop floor at the moment. So that should be a real-time product flow simulation here. With this, we can optimize our routes, our tugger routes. With this, we can optimize the walkways and the layout. But what we've also done is, as I said, we go from supplier to our customers. We have a system now where we see when is our container, for example, from intercompany partners from Europe on the ship. When does it arrive in the harbor? When does it arrive on the truck? When is the truck arriving in the plant? We have a booking system now where the truck and the container will book on each of our docks, which will allow us to allocate our resources in the right way, and having a plan well and smooth arrival of goods. Where do we put the part? How does it flow through our production? And then it goes all back through the warehouse, through the docks, through the truck, back to the ship. Important here is that these solutions, probably you can buy on the market somewhere, the specialists available. What we need to do is, I come back to the vision of our plant. We need one data set. We need one big data lake where all this data comes in the right format and in the right language, that only then we are able to scale. And once this is done in a holistic way for the plant, scale it to the next plant, and when they connect plant to plant, that's a huge potential, what we see here now. Another experience for our operators is the work with smart glasses, especially in the time where we cannot travel at the moment. This really accelerated this development. Here you see a small glass. I think it's a Toshiba glass, HoloLens, Google Glass, you name it. And we are getting more and more professional how to utilize these kind of tools, how to utilize it globally, not only by walking in our shop floor, but how to conduct workshops, how to make machine releases, how to repair machines, where the expert sits overseas, or the manufacturer of the machine sits overseas, independent of time, 24/7. This is a huge advancement we have made here. At the beginning, of course, people had to get used here, but seeing the benefits, experience the support of the people on the other side of the globe, talking about the same thing, the feedback was overwhelmingly good, and we are trying to move that forward. We also integrating now tools we had before, we call setup time assistance, where we really have a smart explanation how to build or assemble the tools, how to build and assemble the machine together for the next setup time. Can be displayed on the HoloLens, can be displayed on smart devices or on screens. Really supporting now our operators and making it easy, get them used to real-time data, get them used to digital applications. What's the benefit for them? Let them feel it, let them experience it. And I think that was so far a good experience for them. So when I look at this, then I come back to my message from last time. Technical solutions and technical ideas, they will come anyways. No one of us here can stop that. It will happen, and probably it will happen faster than we can get together here. But in the past, I think we're focusing 80% on all these new things and only 20% on our leadership and employee-related topic. So to make this really a working transformation, let's go from 80-20 to 20-80. Take 20% of your time, work on these technical solutions. Take 80% of your time to work with people, improve your leadership, behavior towards their employees. Don't forget your EI and EX. Lastly, my messages for you to round it all up. Challenge your ideas for digitalization if they really help you, your customers, and your employees. Don't do it because it's nice. I think we are past that sense, past that time that we do these things because they are cool. No, I think we really want to have these big benefits now out of that. Put yourself into the shoes of your employees and your organization. VUCA is still there. How to slow down and how to reduce the risks and the fears of VUCA. Find the right organizational setup to empower the teams to create this agility, because the old department thinking will not work in this environment anymore. When you look to real-time data, build trust with your employees and not observation. Focus on people management, and overall create an environment where you and your team have fun for that. With this, thank you very much for listening to me. You can get in contact by email or LinkedIn. And then now I'm open for your questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Klaus. Always wonderful to listen to you. Every time I learn something new about your thought processes as well as the wonderful work Schaeffler is doing. So while, again, as usual, I was observing it while listening to you. I have quick two questions. I think both are related to the same thought process which you mentioned, but one is more towards, because manufacturing, if you look at whether is your factory in Vietnam or China or India or many other in the region, they're pretty much into, if I can say, low cost markets, right? So the challenge with companies who are driving this innovation transformation, the low cost markets are always sometimes, let me just throw in more people, right? So why do I need technology to help it? So take example, when I did a couple of years back, a large project in Myanmar. I mean, just to not compare as expertise, but a single day expert, if I'm getting somebody from my Australia team versus a full month salary of expert in Myanmar is almost same. So how do you address this kind of low cost mindset tendency that, okay, that's one side, but we still need to transform the people? And follow up on that, just quick question also is that there's so many skills one need in the organization, right? And not everybody in the organization can be expert of sensor technologies, AI technologies, machine learning technology, and so on and so forth. So from your point of view, once you address the cost part, which are the core key skills you're looking to help build within the organizations? And what are the skills you actively kind of source out from your partners? So these are the two questions I have, and we'll see if they have more questions from the audience. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, CK. So these two questions, I think, in my point of view, belong together for us. So when we talk about a low-cost country, okay, Southeast Asia, is labor cost seems to be low cost compared to Europe, for example. That's, of course, in one point of view, a challenge by just how we do our calculation on return on investment, right? And the pure calculation on saving labor costs versus automation can be done, or you can get quick results in a high labor cost country, right? Putting in a cobot versus people, this calculation is probably very easy. So when we come to a low-cost country where our labor costs are really low compared to Europe, then we need some other reasons, and then we need some other focus areas how to do that. So automation is probably not the right way to do, to take as a first step. In this case, for example, we are not aiming to have a full automized plant there or implementing 100 cobots in this plant. We have other plants in the world where we do that. So for us here, it would be probably more important to have a high utilization of our resources in terms of machine utilization and people utilization, a high OEE, a high quality rate. So what can we do with digitalization to support these kind of things, to get this utilization, to get the delivery reliability out of this low-cost country here in Asia, and what other things we need? So that's why I'm emphasizing so much on the people, because the people are the assets in the past, today, and in the future for that. And the better skilled they are and the easier they do their work, the performance will be much, much higher, also with digitalization, or even with better with digitalization. So that's the challenge for having a digital lighthouse in a low-cost country versus in Europe, because just the way of how we invest is totally different, and we need to consider it even more specifically where to put the money in the things. Because programming, servers, hardware, cameras will cost the same in Europe and in Southeast Asia. Okay, so what do we do with the data? How do we utilize? That's, I think, the key for a low-cost country. On the other hand, you ask for the skill set we need. I would say Asia, Southeast Asia gives in this term regard a huge benefit. Southeast Asia and Asia in total, I would say, is a very advanced region where people are used to mobile devices, where people have, you know, in China we're using WeChat and you use other applications. The whole life gets managed by your smart device. Also here in Singapore, right, you don't need anything else than your smartphone to survive, I would say. So the affinity of the people to that is much higher here in Asia. And the willingness for change, the adaptation to learn these new skills is really great. So we see a lot of young people, young potentials, programming, having new skill sets, which can be utilized. So that's the advantage. And what we have now to do here in the region is, when we look at our conventional plant and organizational setup, we need to bring these new skill sets of data analysts, people who program algorithms, people who are visionary in how things get connected. These we need to bring together and work and collaborate with the existing team. So my example from having a very senior, experienced worker on a machine, doing this since 25 years, and now a 21-year-old comes and programs an algorithm who gives them another direction. How do we manage this change? So that's a real challenge, but that's the way we have to go in the future. So before, I think there was a question also to make, which department should lead? In this case, I would think it really does not really matter who is really leading. It's more about how the composition of the team and how do we communicate with each other. But certainly, I think it helps if somebody takes a lead who comes not from the conventional production system, because it's very difficult personal change management to break these habits, to break these thinkings. So it helps if we have a young, visionary IT person, I have to say, or designer, and an experienced industrial engineer who work together as a team, because then we have the synergy out of both, and they both can lead this transformation, I believe. Okay.
Yeah, no, makes sense. And in fact, Ms. I add my quick view here also. Same when we look at as an organization, all things connected, we also talk about the skills which we bring it to our partners as well as the customer is pretty much, we call it not so sexy term, is a program management. It's pulling the threads together. Yeah. There's a wonderful article, maybe I'll post in the chat later, from MIT. It's called Building an Open Adaptive Ecosystem. We talk about ecosystem, but at the same time, that the key role I personally see, whoever is leading it, whichever department he or she come from, is one fundamental skill I look at is program management. And second part is the architectural point of view. So we have a couple of more questions. Maybe we'll take it later while we are running a little behind the time, but not to worry, we'll catch up before the lunch. Thanks Klaus again for your wonderful session, and you can stay here and maybe could also answer the questions in the chat window as well. Thanks, Klaus.
Thank you.